the Institute for North America is one of a number of institutes, as Alex mentioned, around the world. And our particular mission that we share in common is to ignite hearts for greatness and to raise up a new generation of virtuous leaders empowered to transform the world. And here, I want to share with you what we've just launched an initiative to bring everything that you're going to see in a very practical way into schools. Because our mission is to transform society, it's to, in some ways, ignite a moral revolution, a transformation in society with the way that we approach leadership and the way that our leaders approach life. As you will see, leadership is not the calling of the few, but of the many. It's not a matter of technique, but it is a function of character. It has to flow from who you are. It has to flow from who you are, because you can think of leadership, oftentimes when we look at leadership, we think management. And that comes to certain technical aspects, things I must do to achieve some outcome, getting from point A to point B. But undergirding that, real leadership, and these are necessary things, but undergirding it must have at its heart, at its root, character, heart. The leader has to be a human being. Otherwise, your job can be better performed by some sort of complex algorithm that can, adjust things just right to make sure the conditions, and we can manipulate people, and then we can manipulate machines, and humans become obsolete. But real human leadership is something that comes from heart. And this is not something that is soft or sentimental. This is about virtues. And as we will see, the virtues are about becoming more human. First, we must understand what is a virtue. Oftentimes, I think in the parlance of our times, we hear the word virtue and we think something like principles or values. There's no shortage of things in values-based leadership, principled leadership. But a virtue is something different. Virtues eat values for breakfast. Right? Values are fundamentally outside of the person, because the word value means something that I hold important, that I feel is important. If you feel is important, we can maybe agree on certain values that we hold together as being important. If we hold these values, it doesn't take much to change our minds and hold these values. This is now what's important to us for one reason or another. They're also very changeable. But they're safe because they do not implicate me. There's something outside. I can point to them. Well, these are our values. Don't talk to me. Right? Don't find out who I actually am. Don't expect anything of me, because you find out I'm not a real leader. So I tell you, these values are out there. We can look at the mask and hide behind the mask of our values. No, virtues are they necessarily implicate the personal. There are no virtues apart from that which is actually instantiated in you. You either have a virtue or you don't. It's not something that you can hold on to, because a virtue comes down to who you are. There's a difference between having and being. Your virtues make you what you are. This is your character. Now, the word virtue is not a religious word. It's not a spiritual word. It's a theological. We're speaking of the natural human virtues. This is a matter of anthropology, of psychology. But not psychology like manipulating people, but it's just written into our very biology. Now, the word virtue itself means strength, force, like a force of gravity. It's a strength, a power. These are not soft skills. These are powers. And to provide, I think, even a more fuller understanding, appreciation of what we mean when we talk about virtue, is that the Greek word, arete, the Greek word for virtue is arete. So when Aristotle, Plato, these guys are writing about virtue millennia ago, they're writing about the word arete. And arete means excellence. Arete means excellence. And so Aristotle talks in the same breath about a virtuous person. He talks about a virtuous knife. It's excellent. It's excellent at being a knife. What makes for a virtuous knife? It's strong, sharp, and it gets the job done. Same principle applies to human beings. What makes for a virtuous person is somebody who is good at being a human person. A good person is someone who is good at being a human person. Virtues are not something outside of us. They're not foreign to us. They're capacities of the human heart. Heart, mind, and will. Capacities of the human being. So when you develop virtues, you're developing strengths. You're developing actual habits of excellence at being human. And when you are excellent at being human, you live a good life. You are made whole, you are integrated, you're made solid. And as we'll see, there are virtues of the intellect and the will, but also the virtues of the heart, which are the essence of leadership. Because when you have not only the virtues of the mind and the will, but the virtues of the heart, that is leadership, you become a real leader, not just an excellent human being, but you become capable of excellently leading other human beings.